Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to The Sims 4, welcome back to a speed build. Now this one's a little bit interesting because you'll notice we're on a giant lot, but we're just doing the house today. This is kind of technically a part 1, although I'm not going to mark it a part 1 because technically the next part is going to be the barn and outbuildings, which I think are just going to be their own build kind of thing. But what we're doing today is we're actually building an old farmhouse that is abandoned. It's not really like super crusty. It is kind of crusty, but it's not. It's supposed to be the vibe we were going for was like loved and then left alone, right? Loved and then neglected. And I actually like I actually did that thing where I got so into the build I made myself sad. Thinking about it, like with the story I was trying to tell and stuff. And the reason I built this, well, it's twofold. One was, I really wanted to use some of the life and death, like broken windows and stuff, which I ended up not using, but I did use the roof punchy things because they're really cool and I want to play around with them more, but I don't often do builds like that. And the other reason too is I had this idea of like, one of my Sims in my personal playthrough is going to inherit an old farm. And that old farm is going to be really beat up. And then I'm going to set certain like challenges and goals for myself to be able to get stuff done. So like it's going to start as like an off the grid log kind of thing. And nothing's going to work right. And then after she does a certain amount of tasks or earns a certain amount or something like that, I haven't worked out the challenge yet, we're going to get to turn the power back on. Because it's going to be like, oh, well, we got the money to get, the county or the power out here or whatever. That kind of thing. So I needed a house for that. And then I was like, well, it'd be kind of fun to build it for the channel because I think it's going to turn out cute because I want a cute farmhouse. And then I was like, oh, I have to build all the outbuildings too. That might be fun because I haven't built a barn in a while and I've been itching to build like a horse ranch build for a while because I got really into it. And then I tried to back off a little bit because I was like, I doubt anyone's as into horses as I am like this. But now I want to do another horse build. So I'm like, well, I think it's okay. I think it's been a while. I think it's okay if I build another horse build. So I was going to do that. And then I was like, well, what if I did both kinds of builds for the channel where I did the like kind of decrepit home and then I did like the reno of it, like a reno of it. It probably won't be how my Sim does it exactly because obviously I think the funny thing about building in The Sims is there's two totally different build styles. There's building homes like I do here, where sometimes I have a client, but a lot of times I'm just like, I have a cute idea for a house, so I'm going to put it together. And then there's building like I do for my Sims, right? Where it's, like, their house is totally a reflection of them, which is a little bit more real life, right? Like, if you walked into my house has no, like, Street of Dreams vibes. My house has no, like, curated, Barbie lives here vibes. My house very much is an indication of who lives here. So I think this house is actually going to go through 2 renovations. On my personal file, it's going to go through how my Sim renovates it. And then here on the channel, it's going to probably go through a slightly more curated reno. I'm really excited about it, though. I ended up loving this layout. This layout ends up pretty stinking cool, I think. It changes a little bit. If I recall, yeah, it ends up changing a little bit here because I built this about 2 weeks ago, I think it was. Right before all the kits started dropping, I think. I'm trying to remember now. Yeah. Yes, I did, actually, because I used this lot to check out the Cozy Gamer kit. Don't judge me. It's fine. So I was just finishing up this build when the first 3 kits came out, and now Refined Living Room and Business Attire has come out as well. That Business Attire is not the name of it. I'm drawing a blank on the name. Anyways, regardless, you're seeing this a little bit later. You're going to see this a couple weeks later, I think. But the layout on this, the point I was originally making, is pretty cool. It's 2 bedrooms upstairs and a bathroom in sort of what I'm calling a bonus space. You could close it in and make it like a master. I left it open because I thought it was just kind of a cool like rec space. And then downstairs there's a bedroom and a bathroom and then a living and sort of kitchen / dining space. And your front door sort of walks you into the kitchen. And there is sort of a wraparound porch. It's not a fully encompassed porch, but it is a wraparound porch. And the front door and the side door both come out on it. You would need to add stairs to the side door because I intentionally didn't because, I was trying to make it look very decrepit. So there's missing railings, there's missing stairs, there's holes in the roof. I didn't do the broken windows because they weren't quite the right style for a farmhouse. But the pillars are supposed to look super aged. The siding is cracking. I tried to make it look overgrown. There's going to be a dead tree, that kind of thing. But I still was trying to give the impression that the bones were good. You know, that like the house was salvageable. It was just like, it needs a new roof. It needs, you know, to be cleaned up and loved again. And like I said, I was telling you, I made myself sad. I'm so good at doing this in The Sims, and I don't know why. I made myself sad because I was looking at this cute little house, and I'm very proud of this cute little house. And I was like, well, who would abandon a cute little house like this? And then I was like kind of working on it and thinking about it, and I was like, well, you know, what probably happened is it was like a little old couple who had lived here since like they were, you know, young. And when she passed away, he tried to keep it nice, but just like it didn't have like the same vibe. And then I was like, probably after he passed away, the kids went through and like, you know, got what they needed / wanted, and then there was just stuff they didn't know what to do with, and it's still in the family, but it's just kind of sat, you know, that kind of thing. And anyways, by the end of it, I was mourning the death of family members I have that are still alive, and I was like, wow, I need to get out of my own funk. Mostly because, so in my family, there is an old farmhouse. It does not look like this. I've built sort of rough approximations of it before on the channel because it has the most amazing layout, because it was built in 1910, and then it was in the family for many years, and then in like, it was like the 40s or early 50s, somewhere around in there, the 50s, I think. My family had to move out of this area because one of the boys was allergic to something that grows in this area. So the house stayed in the family and the farm stayed in the family, but no one was actively living there. But there were family members living in town, so it wasn't just like, you know, completely abandoned, but it was kind of abandoned. And then it sort of sat falling apart for a long time because, you know, houses tend to do that when they're not cared for. Until the 1990s, when my great aunt and uncle were like, we would like to live back in this house. This house is beautiful. The state they moved back to, the state I live in now, the state this house is, was cheaper for them, you know, that kind of thing. And they did a full reno, and they added onto the back of the front. Basically, they added a living room off the kitchen instead of just the formal front room, and it makes so much more sense. And they added a master suite on the first floor. And a garage, and the garage, and like a beautiful back porch and stuff. It's done really nicely. It looks like it's part of the original house. It's done really nicely. And then the original part of the house was all restored really nicely. So the point I was making there is that, the original point before I went completely off the rails, is that I know for a fact that sometimes a house can get lost in the shuffle of a big enough family, and it can fall to ruin while still being loved, if that makes sense. Like, at no point was anyone disappointed in this house that my great aunt and uncle live in. It's a gorgeous house. It's been written up in magazines and stuff. It's stunningly beautiful. I love this house. But it just, for a while, no one knew what to do with it, you know? And so it got really crappy. Like, my dad tells the story. For a while, they came to visit the house at one point before my aunt and uncle decided to take it on, because it was a big project. It was a multi-year project to get it safe to live in again. And my dad tells a story about how he went to go upstairs to a bedroom he remembers his dad being in, and he almost fell through the stairs, kind of thing. Like, it got spooky bad. And now it's so well loved and so full of life and personality, and it makes me so happy to be there. And it has the most gorgeous porches. Honestly, that house is why I have such, I think, like, an obsession with porches. I love them so much. I don't think I could live in a house without some sort of porch now. And I know that's a dramatic statement, but I'm not even lying to you. I think I would have to. I'm such a front porch sitter, or in my house, a back porch sitter. We have a really nice view here, because my house is like up, like, probably actually a good 4 or 5 feet from the next spot down, and my entire farm is probably like a solid, I don't know, like 4 or 5 feet off the valley floor. So we've got like a nice little, like, expansive view. It's nice. Anyways, the original point I was trying to make is I can see a house being loved and staying in a family, but just being lost. And that's what this house was. or I at least in my head, that's the story I'm telling with this house, was it just got to the point where no one lived here. And when no one lives here, you don't notice when there's a leak in the roof, and then all of a sudden it's bad enough that the roof comes in because, it's been rotting long enough. And you don't notice that so-and-so left a chair or covered the couch but never took it, or that a cabinet has kind of come off the wall because it was only anchored on the bottom and now it's slid down and pulled some of the wallpaper, or that the fridge got pulled out at one point, that kind of thing. And honestly, it broke my heart a little bit. It makes me really want to work on this house because I want to put joy back in this house. And it's pixels on a screen, y'all. It is pixels on a screen. But I got so attached to this house that, like I said, I actually built it a little while ago. And you're going to see it even later than I'm doing it because I had to, convince myself to, sit down and record the voiceover because I had made myself so sad about this house and it needing to be fixed that I was like, I don't even want to open the save up again right now. I made myself so sad. I fought, side note, going to talk, more logically about this build now. I fought for a while trying to get the vibes right on this house with the siding. I think it changes even 1 or 2 more times maybe, because I wanted the siding to look rough, but not poorly done. And this doesn't look poorly done, to be clear, but it sort of gives the impression of the paint was just sort of slapped on there. That's not what I wanted. I wanted it to look like the house was again, I'm gonna keep saying it, loved but then left, right? And so it was weird how hard those vibes were to achieve. Also, I have developed a really weird problem, and you're gonna think I'm really dumb when I say this, and you're totally valid in thinking that. I cannot get my windows on a level that makes sense on both the interior and the exterior to save my life. I have been struggling with this in builds for so long. You're gonna see me struggle with it here. I'll get them where it looks right on the house, and then on the exterior, and then I'll go inside and they're either 2 feet or 2 inches from the floor, or it would take a very tall human to see them. It is insanity how much I have struggled with getting the windows to place right. I don't know what that is in my head lately, but this house does suffer from that a little bit. You'll see me consistently adjusting windows back and forth. In fact, you'll notice here the bump out one is a little bit lower than the ones on the thing, although I do leave those, and that's kind of intentional because you do have to work with the roof line a little bit here, so the windows aren't going to be completely even, which is somewhat annoying from the inside, but it's deal withable, I changed windows so many times too. I really loved the Strangerville windows. The reason I opted to change was really the door. I loved the Strangerville windows, and I think I would have gone with the Strangerville windows because a lot of old farmhouses do actually have a lot of really pretty woodwork and stuff. Because a lot of times they were the bigger farmhouses and stuff were designed, right? They had an architect's name to them, or something like that. They were showpieces as well. And so I was totally keen on the idea of having those really pretty Strangerville windows, especially because Strangerville actually has a really interesting sort of almost Old West Americana vibe to it. So I was really ready for that, but I wanted the door had such pretty detailing that I wanted the windows to match the doors. And I kind of liked the idea of doing those are the growing together windows, I believe. I've said that, now I'm concerned. No, yeah, those are definitely the growing together windows, I'm reasonably certain. The ones I changed to, not these ones. These ones are the dogs and cats pack. Yeah, no, it's growing together, I'm almost certain. I've convinced myself otherwise. But the reason I went with those is because they have really pretty colorful swatches too, and I thought it would be really fun during the run-out to potentially pick a color for the interior molding, the glass molding, as a little bit of a sign of fixing the house up, maybe showing respect to the house by still putting period windows in, but getting those windows done in a fun fashion color, because that's what I would do if I was fixing up an old farmhouse. Well, I am fixing up an old farmhouse, but my farmhouse has a different vibe. My farmhouse comes from a slightly different era, so I'm doing different era specific things. But if I was fixing up a 1910s farmhouse or a 1900s farmhouse, I would probably do here's an ode to the beautiful like leaded glass windows, but done in like kind of a fun funky color. Here I'm doing the front porch stuff, or the, I guess, side, the like wraparound porch, but I'm doing a few different wood fence types because I wanted it to look like the porch had been patched a couple of times. Basically, what I was trying to get at with the porch and stuff a little bit, and with some of the like home maintenance-y looking stuff, is I wanted, the sad story I had told you already is that Grandma passed away first, and Granddad was around for a couple more years, and he kept the house up, but it just wasn't the same without Grandma around, and so, like, he just patched up the porch. I mean, he was also getting up there in years, right? Like, Grandma passed away in her 90s, so Granddad passed away in his late 90s, so, like, it was already hard, so he just patched up the porch, right? Because it's just him living there. He wasn't too worried about, like, making it show-worthy again and stuff, that kind of thing, is what I was kind of thinking, and, not worrying about fixing the side stairs, because, like, he doesn't use the side stairs, he just goes at the front stairs, so it's not that big a deal. And then, obviously, the kids weren't going to patch it up because they didn't live here. So it was sort of like we'll deal with it when we deal with it. But no one really wanted to get rid of Grandma and Grandpa's house. So it's kind of just sat. And then the idea is my sim comes in having inherited the house maybe from their parents. Not like inherited. I kind of imagine the storyline being something like kid having a quarter life crisis because they've realized that the job they picked is like maybe not the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then they go to their parents and they're like, I need a fresh start. And parents are like, well, my grandparents' house is still there. You could talk to your aunts and uncles and see if they're willing to let you, live in it or something like that. So, family kind of is like, great, it'd be great to have kid be caretaker because house is just sitting. And then your sim comes in and gets to be caretaker, right? That's kind of the idea I was thinking of, is that's how you end up here. But your sim is obviously having a quarter life crisis, so they probably quit their job, or they, like the story I've told in my games before has been because the programmer career, you can do quite a bit from home if you're careful about it. I've done the remote worker career, or like done some freelancing and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stories you could tell there to like have your sim earn money if you didn't want to do like full rags to riches. And to be clear, this house, for being decrepit, is still relatively expensive because the lot is expensive. It's going to be an expensive lot too because I'm going to put the barn and stuff on it. And the reason I picked this lot is because I wanted like and I put the house in the back, is because I wanted like a pretty winding path, and I wanted like the barns to be up front so that the horses could run along. But also the really cool thing about this lot is because it's 64 by 64, it's already huge, but on both sides you can kind of see it in the background here, it looks like paddocks, like training paddocks, and they already have the fences and the barrels to train your horse on, so you don't have to purchase those things. And they already have things that look like a water trough. Actually, I think it maybe functions as a water trough, and they have decorative hay around. So you still have to build a place for your horse to live, but it looks like there's already horse accoutrement around, and those jumps and things your horse can use, so you don't have to have them on property. So you can end up having like more pretty run-ins, more like aesthetic barns and stuff like that, which for this particular build and then subsequent renovations, I was like, that makes sense. And for like the old barn and old outbuildings build, we're gonna have like a fun little like rutted road come up to the house and rutted road come up to the barn. I think we're gonna do a red barn. I'm pretty excited about it. And then like I said, it'll kind of lead around the paddocks, so it will look like a horse training property. My sim is eventually hopefully going to make money training horses, although to be fair, I've never been successful at that in any game, but especially not in The Sims, because the problem is I get, and in real life too, let's be real, I'm just gonna call myself out, I've not been successful at that in real life either, because what happens is I get emotionally attached to the horse. And then it's not like, hey, you bred and raised and trained a good horse, sell it for profit. I go, but it's my baby. Yeah. Yeah. That's why a lot of people refer to horses as hay burners, because they don't actually make you money. They don't actually make you money at all. So this bathroom is a little bit more put together, going back to the build instead of just talking about the plans for this lot. Although, man, this lot is probably not going to matter to anyone but me. But this lot is going to get so much playtime. Here I'm just kind of laying out furniture, making sure everything kind of works, make sure the windows are in the right place, things like that. But what I was going to say is this bathroom is the most functional in the house. The house is, I think, mostly functional. You'll have a hard time cooking in the kitchen. But the house is like mostly functional, or could be made pretty functional pretty quickly. Actually, I think you could cook in the house. I mean, okay, I'm going to play it off the grid, so yeah, none of that would work off the grid, I don't think. But you could move with Sim in if you didn't want to play off the grid, and it would be fine. But the upstairs bathroom is like a mess and would be really hard to use. The downstairs bathroom works a little bit more. And again, the story I was thinking about is like the master was probably downstairs because they were little old people by the end. So I was like, it makes sense that the downstairs bathroom was kept up a little bit more and the downstairs was like a little bit more kept up because Grandpa was still living there for a while, right? Whereas the upstairs is pretty trashed out. And I made the upstairs bathroom even kind of look like someone had just like run a hose and stuff up there because I was like, you know, maybe someone was staying there where they were trying to get the house through like probate or whatever, and just like someone had to be on property, so they just like sort of rigged it all up, but it wasn't really, you know, that kind of thing. The upstairs is gonna need some serious work. I can't remember if I leave the piano in or not. I think I ended up taking the piano out. I think I convinced myself to take the piano out of the upstairs because I was imagining how absolutely hellacious it would be to put a piano upstairs. Having said that, since my sim is going to renovate this house, I think we can play the fun game called My Sim Hired a Crane, and we're not going to talk about it anymore. But I have an upright piano that was actually an inheritance. It was my grandma's piano, and now it is mine. And no, I don't play the piano. I used to, but I've not played in long enough that I cannot say I play the piano anymore. I sit down and I go. It's one of those weird situations where my fingers know what to do, but my brain won't let them do it anymore, if that makes sense. Like, there are certain songs where if I like if I sat down to play Minuet in G and I didn't think about it, I can play Minuet in G. If I sit down to like play the Wellerman because it's a newer song, my brain gets in the way of my fingers. Like, I can play it for a little while and then I go, oh my god, I'm playing piano, and you know, brains are dumb, dude. So no, I don't play the piano. I would love to play the piano, but my piano is in one of the common spaces, which means everybody has to listen to me practice piano. That's not fair. That's not fair to anyone. Regardless, the point I was going to make is I have a standing piano, and I love it very, very much. But we had to fight it up 6 stairs, not flights, just 6 stairs to get it up into this house. And it almost killed 2 people because it weighs like a flippin' ton. It's so heavy. It's like, I think my dad said his guesstimation based on the research he had done online is it's like 400 or 500 pounds. I don't think that's quite right, but I'm not going to question it because I don't know how much a piano weighs and I'm not about to go lift it up and try it. It has wheels, which is a joke. It has wheels, which is a joke. Yeah, so that's the story we're gonna tell if we decide to put a piano back in that upper room, is that when she was like replacing windows, she had a crane or something. Because otherwise I don't think you could get a piano up into the upper room through the staircase. I don't think it would be feasible. You could also put the piano down here, which would be nice. We have a nice big living room space, a cozy sort of farmy living space, or it will be at some point. It's kind of moldy and dingy right now, but it will be pretty. And then with the chairs, I have one chair pulled away from the table, which I thought made sense, and then I have 2 nice dining chairs, a ratty tablecloth, and then a fold-up chair, a fold-up middle chair, and then a garden plastic chair, because I kind of imagined the other 2 chairs when I built the barn and have like the workshop area. The other 2 chairs are going to be in the workshop because their legs are going to be broke or something, right? And so Granddad took them out to go get them fixed, but he just never quite got around to it because after Grandma was gone, he didn't really eat dinner at the table anymore. He ate dinner in his chair in front of the TV, and I ended up using this console table that is a TV. It's not a TV. It doesn't work in The Sims, which is such a bummer. I wish they had given us a version of this that the TV worked. I get why they couldn't, and it's fine. But in this particular instance, I was like, that's cool. I'm cool with using it because, yeah, that TV wouldn't work anymore. It's been sitting for eons, you know. And it's a giant console TV. Like, nobody was gonna take it home. And then I put ratty brown carpet in because I was like, carpet was like such a thing for a while. Like, there's carpet in my great aunt and uncle's house, and like I get it. I totally get it. I'm not mad about it. But carpet, well, there's carpet in this house in strategic places. And can I just say, carpet gets so ratty on a farm. It gets so ratty on a farm. Most of my house is really interesting 70s linoleum, or like, what's the like vinyl? Not vinyl. You know, the wood floor that isn't a wood floor, but it's like a wood floor? That stuff. But part of it is carpet. And the carpet gets so ratty, dude. It gets so ratty. Like, at some point in my life, I'm going to win the lottery, and I'm going to redo the floors in this house. I'm not against the super tacky 70s linoleum. I'm just against how dirty it looks all of the time. It's goldenrod and orange. And it's that, like, pitted stuff, you know, that, like, textured stuff. And it just constantly looks a little bit dirty. Like, no matter what you do. And and I'm not a huge yellow and goldenrod kind of person. And, you know, I love yellow, but not like 70s brown and yellow. You know, it was an era. It was an era. We can respect it. But also, like, we don't have to, like, honor it in our homes all the time. And I don't think it would matter so much, too, but they painted the walls in my kitchen, like, goldenrod, too, which I don't mind, but they did a really bad job of it. Oh, well. Anyways, well, the point I was making is carpet is a really bad idea in a farmhouse, and when my sim moves in, the first thing she will be doing is getting rid of the germ trap that is carpeting. I have rugs in my house. I like rugs, but the thing I really like about rugs the most, too, is that you can take them outside and beat the ever-living snot out of them, and then vacuum and shampoo the snot out of them without problems. Carpet is... You can shampoo carpet, but the problem is, like, you have to leave it in your house to dry, and it takes forever, because that is carpeting, and you can't take it out in the yard and, like, beat it about the head and shoulders to get it clean, you know? And also I have dogs. And frankly, it is nice when there is an oops to be able to take the rug outside, because, like, nobody else in my house wants to clean up the dog throw up. So I have to deal with it, you know? Anyways, here I'm putting in some lights. I'm trying to remember. I did mostly wall lights because I figured it was kind of the era of the house. I think I did ceiling lights in the bathrooms, although the upstairs bathroom does not have a light because, again, it's the most trashed area of the house. Like, it's the spooky bathroom, because every farmhouse, including mine, has that bathroom that just kind of makes you go, I don't love this. I intend to fix all the bathrooms in my house so that I don't have to take a deep breath in some of them and, like, convince myself I'm not going to. I don't like bathrooms. I've told this before on the channel several times. I don't love spooky old bathrooms, and I think it comes from my great aunt and uncle's house. I'm going to keep talking about this house. Because they have, like, a kind of spooky bathroom that's, like, kind of dark and cramped and under the stairs. And it's just, yeah. And then, like, my grandma's house, she lives in town. My grandma has, like, one bathroom where the light switch is on the outside, which is great when you have little cousins. But that bathroom is fine, other than the light switch situation. But then they tried to put a master, like, whoever renovated it tried to put, like, a bathroom in the master. And, like, this thing is tiny. Like, it would be the Sims equivalent of, like, a single tile bathroom. Like, I am barely 5 foot on a good day, and I can't fit in that bathroom. Like, it's just crazy. And it's a full bathroom. Like, it is a full, it's got all the things you need for a bathroom. It's insane. I doubt if you tried to do that today, it would pass code. Like, I really doubt it. So if you're thinking about downloading this house and fixing it, I will tell you too, the bedrooms and the upstairs especially are, the upstairs, like, bonus area especially, a lot of this is actually really well sized, if I can pat myself in the back for a minute. And so what that means is if you ended up needing more space in this house, you could easily, I think, turn this into a 5-bedroom. Because I think you could get 4 up here, and you could really, even if you wanted to, if you were willing to sacrifice a bathroom, you could get a second bedroom downstairs, because you could steal a little bit from the master and kind of do something weird with the bathroom down there. Especially if you wanted to do, like, an outhouse situation. I imagined this house was built after the advent of indoor plumbing. So I chose non-violence in that regard. But yeah, you could make this house work for a lot of Sims. I think you could easily make this a 8 Sims house, because if you did, let's say 2 Sims in the master, and then 2 sets of 2 upstairs, and then a single bed and 2, you could easily get 8 Sims. I think you could even, if you use mods, I don't, but I kind of think I'm on the verge, like MCC, what is it? Yeah, MC Command Center. You can like up the size of your house with, performance issues, but like you can. And so like I know a lot of my friends and stuff play with like 10 and 12 Sims houses. I bet it would be tight at that point, but you could even probably get 10 or 12 Sims in this house if you reconfigured it a little bit. And so that's really nice. It does give you some like growing room. For my Sim, honestly, she's probably gonna end up, because she has no recollection of this house, right? Like she's a great grand, so this house is new to her, at least in the story I'm telling. So she's not gonna mind like just taking over the master and stuff, right? Because there's not that like sentimental like, no, but this was my grandparents' room kind of thing. So she'll probably spend most of her time downstairs. I think she's gonna probably stick an office and maybe an art studio up here, because I'm thinking if she's gonna be a horse trainer, we're gonna have to learn to paint. Like, just to be so real here, we're gonna have to learn to paint. And these rooms up here are really empty, because again, the story I was telling was like granddad was the one that was left, so like he wouldn't even be up here. Like, let's be real, like this was for the kids, and then the kids left because they grew up, and then this was for guests, and then when grandma passed, there wasn't a lot of reasons to stay, or they stayed in town because it was easier, or it was too sad, or something like that. Like, we've all been there. So they stayed in town and would come visit, but like no one needed to go upstairs. So it got, a lot dingier, a lot quicker. That sound you heard was me attempting to change sitting positions and whacking my knee. So I apologize if that made a loud crashing noise for you. Although you're not actually attached to my desk right now, so it shouldn't matter too much. You used to be attached to my desk. This upstairs bathroom, I'm not sure how I feel about the tile. I wanted to use that. It fit, and I think it makes sense. The problem is the tile doesn't like super make sense for the house, but she was gonna tear it up, so I was like, it's okay. It's kind of just telling a story. It's less like, that it needs to be a thing. I got really excited when I found that brick, and then I was like, oh, it doesn't really work in this house, because this would be a lath-in plaster kind of house, which is what that looks like. Where the plaster is busted through and you can just see the lath. Which, fun fact, is what my house is made out of, except for my bedroom, which is just plaster. Someone forgot the lath, and it makes it such a pain in the butt every time I have to do anything. Here I'm putting some pictures on the ground, because I kind of imagined a situation where like they were going through some of the artwork and stuff, cleaning up the house after Grandpa died, and these were a couple paintings that maybe they set aside. They were like, okay, yeah, someone will grab these, and then they just got left. Kind of the same thing with the rug and some of the furniture, where it was like, somebody will want this, but then nobody ended up wanting it, and they just kind of got left. And because the house stayed in the family, they didn't really have to deal with it. So that's kind of the thing I was doing here too, was just like leaving some things. I wanted it to look like a house that had been loved and could be loved again. That's so depressing. You know what I mean? Have I thoroughly depressed you yet? I've thoroughly made myself sad. I'm gonna have to go watch fun videos here. Yeah, and there I just got rid of the lighting in the bathroom. And I think we're probably well on our way. Yeah, I think we just have landscaping left. I think we're pretty much done inside now. Landscaping was a little bit weird because I wanted it to look overgrown, but not like creepy, right? Like, I'm not building a vampire home. And out here it's a little bit hard because we're in, oh no, what is the name? Chestnut Ridge. There we go. My brain was like, Copperdale Ridge. And I was like, Amanda, that's definitely two different packs. Chestnut Ridge, which has really kind of strong, it actually kind of almost reminds me of where I live. It's a little bit different than where I live. It's a different kind of climate and vibe. But a lot of what gets out of control where I live, and a lot of what I would imagine gets out of control here in Chestnut Ridge, is the prairie grasses, right? Which they allude to in the pack even, where it's like, oh yeah, the grass, if you leave it, will get out of control. I didn't plant prairie grass around the house because that seemed like it would be fussy. But I did take these two different grass colors, this green and this brown kind of gold, and I layered them together because the gold was too gold for the ground. Because I did like the grass, the kind of overgrown grass look that is on this lot, so I wanted to kind of leave that for the most part. So the gold was too gold, but the green felt too taken care of. You know, like it was not wild enough, because in the summertime especially, a lot of wild grasses will go gold, because they're not getting the water, right? And then I was like, well, Grandma would have had a garden, and a lot of perennials are very resilient and will just perennials will just perennial on their own. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna put, you know, some like overgrown looking like wildflowers, I can talk, out, and some sunflowers, man. I put a couple sunflowers in the yard, not too many. Actually, maybe just the one. No, I think I put 2 more somewhere. And the reason I put sunflowers is because I grew sunflowers at one point, like the first or second year I lived here, and they drop seeds everywhere, dude. And if you plant sunflowers for the next 5 years, you will have sunflowers whether you want them or not. And if you have to move those sunflowers anywhere, even if you don't, because honestly, like the squirrels and stuff helped too, but like my neighbors had sunflowers for the next 5 years. My neighbors a couple miles away had sunflowers for the next few years. My cousins had sunflowers because they came in on my shoes. My aunts and uncles, my grandma, down on the highway, all along the ditch had sunflowers. Now, I'm not saying all of that was me. I'm just saying it was a really interesting pattern. But anyways, we're here along the screenshots. I really love how this turned out, and I cannot wait to see life breathe into this home again. I am so excited to fix this one up. This one kind of makes my heart hurt right now, and I think it's gonna make my heart so happy. I have not cried about this build yet, but I have a sneaking suspicion I'm going to cry about this build at some point, so we'll see. Like I said, this isn't really a second part or a third part, but there is going to be the like lot build where I do like the barn build, and then you'll see some of the lot around it, and then we'll do a reno probably of both of those as well. But I have been talking to you for a while, and you're probably tired of me. I'm probably tired of me. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it here. I hope you're having a good day and you're feeling loved. And if you're not feeling loved, please know that I love you. I'm glad you exist. I'm glad you're here hanging out. You make the world a better place. Go hug your loved ones today. And if you don't have loved ones, take a hug from me. I'm your loved one now, whether you want it or not. The choice has been made. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Love you. Bye. Mwah.